Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on European Confessions. Apologies for not posting in the past few days. The flu that I had, it was just too much. But we are back with another episode. And the confession that I'm going to be sharing with you, it was sent to us by one of our dear sister, and it reads like this. How are you, Brother Nashim? I recently came across your videos. You no longer post. I saw your videos on TikTok, and then I followed you here on Facebook. When you post, please post my story anonymously. I might have locked my account, but still I want to remain as anonymous as possible. Do not share my real name with anyone. I am a woman, 36 years of age. I am a South African woman. I reside here in South Africa. My mother, she ran away from her husband, who was my stepdad, used to stay in the Eastern Cape. And then she ran away with another man, and she came and she started to work in the farms. If you know a place that is called Denun, that was where my mother was staying and working in the farms, and we grew up staying there. But as for now, I am staying in a nice gated community. It seems as if I do not listen. I used to date a Malawian guy who is tormenting me. Now I am off to the Nigerians. I never learn, do I? So life became terribly hard for me because I was trying to get a job, but I could not get a job. And that was when I started to date these men that I never loved. And I am being tormented by the ghost of the men that I used to live with here in Capetown. We used to stay at a grape farm. I was not permanently working inside that farm. I was a stay-at-home girlfriend, and he would go to work. Whenever he was not around, I would bring men into our house, and then I would sleep with those men for money. Do not get me wrong. I was not the only one that was doing it. Even the people from Zim, the women, they were also cheating on their husbands. So I started to do the things what I saw other women doing to their husbands as well. Those rumors, to anyone that has ever had a rumor that say Malawian people, they do not die, it is a lie, Brother Nashim. Those people from Malawi, they do die. But I see it as though these people are somehow physically engineered such that if they die through a heartbreak, distress, or a murder, they come back and they start to walk amongst the living as a ghost. So to anyone that is dating a man that comes from Malawi, you need to be careful. If you do not love him, just tell him the truth that you are not that much into him. Because if you mess up and hurt him, steal his money, if he dies, maybe commit suicide, he will keep on following you for the rest of your life, like what is happening to me right now. My story, Brother Nashim, let me tell you everything that happened in the background of how I grew up. Then I will go into the full details of my current issue. I grew up in the village in the Eastern Cape before my mother had run away from my stepdad. My stepfather, he was a good man, but what he had not realized was that the woman that he loved with all of his heart, who was my mother, she was a Shabin woman. She simply belonged to the street. No matter how hard my stepdad would try to provide for us, he would go to great length of even taking my grandmother and staying with us in his home. He tried to be a good father to all of us. He was working in the city and we were staying in the village. My mother, she would borrow alcohol and she would tell people that my husband works, give me the alcohol. My mother, she was a drunkard. Whenever my stepdad would return back from the city, he would pay all the bills that my mother would be owing to the Shabin people. And he did not mind because in his heart, he loved my mother with all of his soul, with everything that he got, but he was loving the wrong person. My mother eventually ran away from my stepdad. I thought that it was evil, the things that she was doing, but she said to me, as a woman, you have to survive. Do you think that I'm going to sit and wait for your stepdad to recover so that he can return back to work? I can't do that. He did not give me any children. It is my responsibility as a mother to take care of you. What happened was that my stepdad was working in the construction industry, even though he was a driver. One day, when they were busy setting up a scaffold and it fell down on top of him, thereby hurting him, he spent so many months he could not eat. They used to feed him using a pipe. And then there was something that was wrong with his manhood. He could not pee anymore. So they had a tube that they had connected so that the water can just flow out. He used to cry whenever that tube would come out of the position. My mother, she said, I did not train to be a nurse. I'm not going to start to train myself to be a nurse on this man. It is better that we go our separate ways. Thereby, leaving my stepdad completely alone, and then we ran away from that man and we came to Capetown. We never knew struggle because my mother, she was always moving from one man to another, until she finally started to work permanently. She was now working at the farm again. So at that farm, there were a lot of foreigners that were working at that great farm. Initially, I had told myself that I will never date a foreign guy. But I started to see other South African girls like me. They were enjoying their lives. You could see that they have a beautiful life. They are making a lot of money. They are being given money by their boyfriends. One of these other girl then said to me, why not date a Malawian guy? He's not going to beat you up. He's going to live for you, die for you, and do everything for you. Finally, I agreed and I said, let me try to date a Malawian man. That is how I started to date my boyfriend. But to be honest with you, this man, even though I was dating him, but I did not love him. I did not even love him even one bit because he was not my type. He was someone that was nice. Yes, that one I agree that he was a nice person, but I never loved him. I just don't know how to explain it to you, but I never ever had any feelings for him. I would only pretend as if I have feelings for him when it was towards the fortnight. That is when I used to pretend that I am madly in love with this guy. But no, I was not in love with him even one single bit. Once he would have given me money, then I would start to mistreat him. He would cry, he would beg me to show him that he meant a lot to me. But I only cared about the small amount of money that he was giving to me because I was using that money as well to take myself back to college. I never successfully graduated because I was lazy to read, by the way. So I returned back to this man because I had seen that there is nothing else that I can do apart from staying with this man in Danun. This man, unfortunately, he was beaten by one of the boyfriends that I was dating. So I was sleeping with a lot of men. So there was another guy from my own tribe that I was also dating. I was promising him that I was going to become his wife, and he believed that I really meant what I was telling him. But this was just a way of just trying to get so much money out of him. He took me serious. Whenever he would come to see me, then I would tell him that I want to be your wife. This guy that I am staying with is the one that is forcing me not to stay with you. So once I move out and I start to stay alone, you can take me and then we can stay together. But it was a lie. I never knew the danger of the things that I was doing. My other boyfriend one night then waited. That Malawian boyfriend of mine, he used to drink a lot of alcohol. So what I did not know was that my other boyfriend, he was also at the same tavern, just waiting for my Malawian boyfriend to get really drunk. When he saw that my boyfriend was really drunk, that was when he decided to follow him. He followed him until he was close to the shack where we were staying, and then he stabbed him to death. That guy, he did not even have any opportunity at all to resist because he was really drunk. He had a stab wound on his neck. I heard then that there was someone that was knocking loudly. That person kept on knocking and knocking. And then I went outside and I looked and I saw that it was my Malawian boyfriend. I asked him what was wrong. My Malawian boyfriend then said to me that he had been stabbed by that other guy, that he used to hear the rumors that I was sleeping around with him. And I said, no, I never slept with that guy. The people were just lying. He asked me to call his wife back in Malawi to inform him that this was what had happened to him. He felt as if he was about to die. He just wanted to speak with his wife so that he can give her some instructions. And I said, if I do something like that, then I am going to be a witness. Already the people in that farm, they knew that I had gone to the location, so they did not know that I was around. I took it as an advantage. What I simply did was that I then took him into bed and I said, relax, my husband, I'm going to call the ambulance. I packed my bag, my clothes, and I stole his money. The money that he had, it was 18,000 rands. I stole it and then I went to the location where I used to stay with one of my friends. I told my friend what had happened and I asked her to be my alibi if there was anyone that was going to ask me anything. So she said that I was with him even when the police came. So the guy was found dead the very next morning. And my other boyfriend who killed him was arrested soon after that, because when he stabbed him at the place where he stabbed him, there was one guy that actually saw everything. And when he heard that my Malawian boyfriend had been killed, that was when he started to tell people that I saw these two gentlemen, they were fighting. I do not know why they were fighting. And that other guy, he was arrested. To this very day, he is still in prison. The moment that I heard that my Malawian boyfriend had been killed, I did not even want to go to that farm to collect my clothes. I left it. This Malawian man, he had some of his relatives that were working at a farm that was close to the place where we used to stay, where he was working. They called me. They said they wanted to talk with me before they left with the body going to Malawi, because they knew that I was the wife here in South Africa, even though he had another wife in his country. I said, no, in our culture, I am not his wife because we never did anything. He never went to speak with my elders. So I'm sorry, there is nothing that I can help you with. And they said, okay, it's fine. We don't have a problem with that. We just wanted you to have a meeting with us so that we can tell you some things about him. And I said, no, it is fine. They went with the body back to Malawi. The day that he was buried, that was when I started to have dreams about him. I started to have dreams about him at all the times. The things that he started to ask me was, where did I put the money? That money that he had been saving, saying that he wanted to go with that money to Malawi. There were things that he wanted to do in his country. I had already used that money. Unfortunately, I had already given it to my friend as well. So then I said, I'm really sorry. This was in my dreams. I have used all of that money. And he beat me in my dreams. When I woke up, I had so much pain. I could not even raise my head because of the pain. I had a terrible headache. Throughout that day, I was in bed because I could not wake up. Then I went to Isangoma, where I was told that I am being followed by a ghost that comes from Malawi. And I knew that it was a ghost of that man that had been killed by my other boyfriend. Fast forward, Brother Nashi, I started to date another guy in Capetown. This man, the very first night when we tried to be intimate, he was on top of me. It was in the year 2023. He came on top of me. We were ready. We had been touching and enjoying. He then started to scream. I then asked him, why are you screaming? Why are you screaming? And then he said to me, I saw your face. You changed. Your face is changed. And I said, what do you mean when you say that you saw that my face has changed? What happened to me? And then he explained to me something that was so scary. This is what he said. I saw that you became a man and you were dark in color. Just like that guy that I was dating, he was dark in color, the man from Malawi. And he said to me that this is how he had seen me. It was as if my face had changed and I was like a man. I became so scared. I thought that this guy maybe he was lying because I had asked him for some money. And man, he was like, I love you. Let us sleep together first. Then I give you some money. So I said, this guy, what he's talking about is crazy. He just wanted to sleep with me and not pay me a single cent. So I dumped him and I said, you think that I'm stupid? You just wanted to sleep with me for nothing. He then said, no, I'm telling you the truth. I saw you changing and you became a man. And I was like, whatever, man, whatever you say. Then we stopped dating. Fast forward, I then started to date another guy. The same thing that happened the first time around, it was the same thing that also happened. So me and that guy, we were even at a very nice hotel. We were staying in a nice hotel, and the first night we did not sleep with each other because it was my last day of my period. The very next day, I was not on my period. So then I expected that everything was going to be okay. I was going to sleep with that guy. And then when it was time for us to sleep with each other, there was nothing that happened. The moment that he entered me, then he started to scream. He was on top of me. I asked him, what is wrong? What is wrong? And then he said to me, what I saw is really scary. I've never seen anything like that before. I said, tell me, what did you see? He said, I'm scared to tell you. I knew already where he was going to. And I said, please tell me. And then he said to me, I saw your face changing. Your face changed and then you became like a man. I'm really sorry. I don't mean to be mean towards you, but this is what I saw. You became like a man. Brother Nashi, I was shocked when this second guy told me that I was like a man. I said, like, how so? He explained it to me and he said that when he was looking at me, my whole body became like that of a man. That is how he panicked. I said, okay, it's fine. It is not your problem. I did not want to say a lot because I was afraid that he would ask me a lot of questions. So I chose to remain quiet. I then met this Nigerian man that I am dating. What surprises me is that this guy, it seems as if he uses some charms. I don't know how to explain it to you, but it's like he uses some charms. That is why he does not see anything. Like really, he does not see anything when he sleeps with me. And I know that he does some sort of rituals. I really do not know how to prove it. But this is my confession, Brother Nash. When you post, you will tell me. I'll be following through in the comment section. I have already given up. There are a lot of prophets that have eaten my money, that promised me that they were going to assist me, but they did not help me at all. Dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to us by one of our DM sister. Let us speak with our dear sister in the comment section. Strange things indeed they do happen in this world. If you have ever dated a man that died because of maybe you were dating other people as well, and he was murdered, he committed suicide, and then you are starting to see that there is something that is going wrong in your life, you can come to our inbox, and then you can share with us your own side of the story. I'll be back with another episode.